What's up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. This is the show where we gather every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time to talk about the movie of the week. And we are in the midst of Crew's Choice here, where I allow the excitable PCP crew to choose the movies that we cover. Tonight is Joe Corallo's pick, and Joe picked Children of Paradise, a 1945 French film that is in black and white. It's over 3 hours long, but that didn't dissuade me because when Joe picks a movie, I'm excited to check it out. I'm very glad I watched this movie. It is directed by Marcel Carné, but we're going to get into that. But it is Joe's pick, and we got a great panel to discuss this film. Kicking it off with Joe. What's up, my man?
Hello, not much. I'm just cat sitting for Ben Kahn, who also writes comics. They currently have out Mr. Muffins, a Defender of the Stars through Oni Press. You should check it out.
Is that Mr. Muffins right behind you right there?
That is Blargy, the cat.
That looks like a Blargy, the cat. And it sounds like the next hit coming out soon, right? Blargy, the cat. I love that. When I think of the term Blargy, I think of Fable from One Collection Down. What's up, my man? You're here for Children of Paradise. I didn't unsell you on this movie.
You know, you try to scare the shit out of me. You know it. It kind of almost worked, but no, I'm glad I watched this. I'm glad I'm here tonight with you guys to discuss it, man.
No.
Hell yeah, absolutely. And the one guy I thought would definitely bail out tonight is here, and I love him. He just had a birthday yesterday. Everybody give a mighty, warm welcome station and a happy birthday to my man Jelani.
Yeah,
happy birthday, Jelani. Our Truth Gets Fired. You got to watch a 3+ hour French film.
Yep, it's exactly what happened. That's exactly how my day went. I spent money on it, so it's still weird.
I didn't put that together, and then I saw Facebook gave me the notification it was your birthday, and I was like, oh fuck, he's watching like a 3-hour French film
But I watch every Sunday. Every Sunday I sit down and watch the movie before the night, and I'm like, okay. Well, technically I watched it in 2 parts anyway. So I watched the first half, and then I cut it off and watched the second half today because I've had like a week off. I don't go back to work till like Wednesday. So I'm like basically lazy. And so I sat down and watched the second half part, and after taking it in the first half, I understand it.
It worked. Yeah. Joe, you actually picked the right week to pick this movie for Jelani. And I love that the movie does divide itself into 2 parts. That's what I was telling Fable yesterday. Like, don't worry, man. It's like 2 movies. It's like a part 1 and a part 2 released at the same time.
My anxiety didn't help. I watched the whole thing in one sitting.
It was like last night on Robbie Live. It was like, this movie is giving me anxiety to watch this. Like, I'm like, no, don't be.
Yeah, I love this movie, and I watched it in 2 parts. Like, I was like,
okay, but we also get to round out the panel. Last but not certainly least, the reason why we're late tonight, but really just because we were just chatting, it's Brooks. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Sacre bleu.
That's how you say
Bonjour, mon amis.
Yeah, I figured you were either going to do that or like omelette du fromage or something.
Omelette du fromage. That's a good one. Like from the Dexter's Laboratory episode?
Yes.
Joe and Brooks get each other on a level that none of the rest of us can compete with. I'm just going to be honest with you. All right, let's talk about Children of Paradise. This is Crew's Choice. Everybody gets to pick whatever movie they want. Me, Jelani, Brooks, and Hammer Time Holeshoe were regulated to anime films. Now that anime is done, we're here with the rest of Crew's Choice, and we got some exciting movies to talk about because some of these movies I've never seen, never even heard of, including Children of Paradise. Joe, I've never heard of this film. And when you picked it, I remember looking it up not too long ago, and I was like, of course, this is a Joe pick, right? Like, a year or 2 ago, you picked a French animated film nobody's ever heard of, Gandahar.
Gandahar, yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. It was amazing, right? So I was really excited to check this one out. And what's crazy is with the way I'm plugged into cinema, especially in the snobby Robbie days, that I had never heard of this film. You know, I talk all the time about how Japanese cinema needs to be not undercut and discounted. Same with Hong Kong cinema. Same with Italian film. French film, I don't know. We were talking about this a little bit before we went live, but I really feel like a lot of us here in America, in the United States, we are, it's predictated in our lives that we don't like anything French for some reason. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like a part of the culture, at least that I grew up in, right?
Sure.
Which is ridiculous when you really start looking at history and art, right? And yeah, man, French cinema, man, I got nothing against it. So I was really excited to check out this movie. And Joe, I was not disappointed. I like this movie. It was filmed in 1945 in France. It was filmed during the Nazi occupation of France, which adds like a whole new level to this movie. But I was really amazed at, I got it. I would guarantee, I've never heard this movie mentioned. Maybe I have without realizing it. But I got to guarantee that this movie is a big impact on people like Quentin Tarantino, for instance, right? It's very novelistic. That's not a word. It's like a novel in a movie, in a way, where the way it's kind of structured, it's about a bunch of characters. You could easily say this is a French film that's about a mime in love, but it's actually about a mime, a criminal, a count, and an actor in love with the same woman, right? And all of the stories kind of overlap and connect, and then it doesn't tie itself up so perfectly in the end. And I really like that about the movie overall. This movie is over 3 hours long, but not as long as Seven Samurai, which none of us had a problem with. But this movie has a sensationally breakneck, kinetic pace to it, which blows my fucking mind. It's set up in 2 parts, and the first part whizzed by. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to move this into tomorrow. I'm ready to finish it. And the second half of the movie has a different structure and pace to it, but it still feels like even faster to me. I don't know. I found this movie rather fascinating. I thought the characters were amazing. I thought the style, the filmmaking, the cinematography, the movement of the camera, the pacing, the script, the dialogue, I thought all that was flawless. I loved the music in the film, and I think it's got a lot of layers to it. So I think this is a top-notch film, Joe. You must agree because you picked it. So what do you think about Children of Paradise overall?
No, I really love it. And also it's funny too. Like, it's a sharp, funny script. Like, I will never forget. It's always stayed with me. That one line in the theater of "Shut up, we can't hear the mime."
That's a great line, man. Yeah, it really is.
That's such a good line. But like, it's the making of the movie alone and how it happened is a movie or a documentary series all on its own. You know, Marcel Carné, the director, was one of, if not like the only like major director to stay behind and work during the Nazi occupation. He had hired, you know, well over 1,000, close to 2,000 like extras that all sort of use, you know, not all of them, but a lot of them used it as cover during the French Resistance. The composer and the set designer were both Jewish, and they had to hide their involvement. There was one Jew who worked on the movie who was apprehended by the Nazis, but other than that, they were able to successfully hide everyone. It came out on V-Day, so they were able to properly credit the Jews who did work on the film, which they would not have been able to do without risking their lives prior to V-Day. They intentionally delayed and extended production to keep people from going into the work camps. Like, it's nuts. Absolutely nuts. There are actual Nazi extras in the movie because they couldn't reveal what they were doing. And there were Nazis who would, you know, obviously they were, you know, breathing down their necks this whole time. So there are actual like Nazi soldiers
I heard a story that there was an actor in the movie who eventually got found out that was involved with the Nazis, and they had to reshoot that person's part throughout the movie.
Yeah, and that person later went on to serve 10 years in prison as like a traitor to France once the occupation was over.
So this was like a Christopher Plummer taking over for Kevin Spacey's situation decades ago, right?
Yeah, but I will say, hopefully, I'm not rocking the boat here, but the Nazi traitor was probably like a little worse than what Kevin Spacey did.
Maybe, yeah,
maybe.
I could be on board with that. I could be on board with that thought.
but yeah, it is. There is so much life in this movie, and it's a testament to art. Like this movie coming out right after the occupation, when it did, was just a testament to how art can survive and thrive under any circumstance. It was like, what an important message, sort of have out there, and just what an important movie. Just the fact that this movie exists at all is a miracle. What they were able to do under circumstances that very few people alive in North America or Europe or across a lot of the world could ever comprehend, and hopefully never again. But it's outstanding, while also telling a poetic story, a story that rides the line between fact and fiction. All of the major players are based on real people. It's a story that is ambitious artistically, that doesn't like the French studios at the time, they did put money into more artful films. Like, this is not a movie where they were like, oh, well, let's make sure the ending's happy. Like, oh, we've got to change this and that to make it, work. No, they don't pull punches. It's bold. They're tackling issues and societal norms that, quite frankly, for a lot of people are considered taboo today. Like the way it sort of ends, and the way that the Baptiste acts towards the end, I think a lot of people today wouldn't understand, would hate, would think he's a villain, and not understand the complexities of just being a person. Like it's a triumph across so many aspects of film, of art, of filmmaking. The original screenplay earned Academy Award nomination in 1947, which is it didn't happen that often. It barely happens today, where a foreign film, it's not a best foreign feature nomination, it's a best original screenplay. That just doesn't happen that often. Like there's a reason for that. So
hell yeah, man. Sounds like you like the film. I like the film as well. I want to know, does Fable like the film? Fable, this movie was giving you anxiety last night. You made it through it. You're here tonight. What did you think about it overall?
Well, first, I want to say that I think you owe John Holshoe an apology. Because you talked about him picking navel-gazing movies or whatever the fuck that term is. I'm getting that term right. This is the navel-gaziest film I've seen all year. And yes, I did have anxiety. When you tell me a movie is 3 hours long, that it's from the 40s, that it's about a mine, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't exactly scream, oh, I gotta see this.
But without even knowing anything about the films we were covering in June, you said, I want to do all of them, is what you said.
I'm always looking for an excuse to hang out with you guys. So that's what that's about.
Oh, sweet.
That's sweet.
But I did have some trepidation. I'm a child of modern cinema. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's part of my life. I'm a Steven Spielberg kid.
Sure.
I'm an 80s kid, modern techniques and all this other stuff. Doesn't mean I can't appreciate old film and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah. So I sat down and watched this, and what immediately struck me was how beautiful it was. Right, just from the jump, I was like, this movie must have cost an arm and a leg. I mean, some of these panning shots. Joe mentioned the extras. There was a ton of people in this movie. It must have took I don't know how many hours to coordinate the crowds, the people in the freaking stands and stuff like that. It was just it was a big production, and I was just shocked at how big the production was. So that immediately hit me. But yeah, as the movie went on, I thought it was very good. I thought it was extremely well acted, which is another thing that I was just like floored by.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of it, if the translation, the little subtitles are correct, it's extremely well written. The dialogue in this film, if they're translating it correctly, because sometimes they don't do a great job.
It's a Criterion version. It's the best version you can ever get.
Yeah. So if that's how it is, then some of the lines are very sharp, and I was really impressed by all of that. I can't really fault this movie for anything, to be honest with you. It's well acted, well played, well scripted, well directed, and cinematography's on point. And even the music's really good. So the only thing I would say is I'm maybe not the most rom-com, navel gazy kind of cinema goer. This may not be my like niche of film, but I can't knock this movie for anything. It's really good. The 3 hours were well spent. Let's just say it like that. It didn't feel long to me.
Hell yeah. Well, in defense, I will say that this movie was made way before the term navel gazy became part of it. But John still picks some of the most navel gazy anime out there. I'm just going to say. Your Name was great, but man, that movie was like, he did that in silent voice back to back. You telling me that those movies don't want to make you just like...
Baptiste is literally the word navel gazy walking around all day.
He is. What about you, Jelani? Speaking of navel gazy, you can't help it. But what about you, man, my friend?
Jeez. What did I pick, Joe? Jesus, what the fuck? The second I found it on Amazon, I was like, okay, so this is a movie about a mime who instantly falls in love with a lady, simps super hard, does nothing about it. Actor guy finds said girl, falls in love with girl. Well, has his way with girl. She's okay with
lust, right?
Yeah. She falls in lust with it. Meanwhile, back in the background, she still had this old boyfriend who's a killer murderer.
With some killer curls in his fucking bangs, man. What the fuck is up with that shit, man?
Awesome curls. And then you got a guy who's super rich and he can take her anywhere in the world. Yeah, all these guys are simps. Every last one of them. Over this mid girl. She's so mid, it's ridiculous.
Oh, fuck you. No, she isn't.
Brooks, she fucking is. Absolutely mid. Great shoulders, though.
Fuck off.
Yeah, cry me a river, Brooks. Cry me a fucking river. Mid.
Why is Brooks turning heel on Jelani right now? I love this. No Figure Reviews is in danger, everybody, here tonight on Monday Night PCP.
Look, Baptiste's wife or Baptiste's girlfriend, way better looking. Way better.
I thought so too.
What's her
way
name?
better acting.
Natalie or something like that?
She was like,
Natalie.
I love you. Yeah, Natalie. She was like, I love you. I'll do whatever I can for you. I'll do whatever. And he's like, I don't give a fuck.
She's like that chick in Spider-Man 2 bringing Peter Parker fucking brownies and shit, right?
Yes. Yeah, that chick. She's that. And then what's her name? Guillaume?
Guérin? Something like that?
Yeah,
Garage.
Garage.
Yeah, Garage. For Flower. She's she Mary Jane. She Mary Jane from all them movies, man. Mary Jane was a straight mid nonsense woman. And the fact she like busts up all these dudes' lives, and guys willing to kill for this girl, she ain't doing nothing for none of them. And she leaving. She leave whenever she feel like it. She on a whim. To get out of shit, she uses that dude's card. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll be his. You know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry. I can't stand that mid girl. She ridiculous. She made all these dudes little punk simps, and made them feel terrible. Baptiste leaves his fucking wife.
Here's the thing, bro.
Kid.
Here's the thing.
For this mid woman.
I listened to there's very little coverage of this movie, it seems, on YouTube. But there was one podcast I listened to, and one person was criticizing the movie for that character being kind of bland. And why are these four dudes into this woman?
Jason,
like, it doesn't even see it, right? Woman. But then the other person was like, well, what if the whole point of the movie is that they are creating this false impression of who she is? And so maybe that's the point of the movie, right? Like, we don't get to know her. Or maybe she's portrayed in this way because it's about how these four men define her in their own terms and not hers.
I don't think they were all simping for her exactly anyway, to be honest.
Bro, Jalene's right, dude. I think they all were.
I don't think
they all were
ever simping for her. I think
the only difference is Frederic could get whatever tail he wanted once he got famous.
He
got it. You have to get to the part where in the second portion of this. The second portion of this, he goes into the box with her and finds out it's her. And then he's talking to her. He's already had her. He's had her all the time. And then she mentions Baptiste. And she's like, I've come to Baptiste shows every night. I can't stop thinking about him. He that's my dude. You know what I'm saying? That's all she thinks about. And he's like, I'm jealous. I'm really jealous.
Yeah.
And so when he said that,
that's his ego, though. That's not her. If anybody,
but it doesn't matter. It's like it's the ego that he's impressing upon her.
Ego. He should always, every time a woman sees him, he should automatically be there.
If anybody would have told Frederick the same exact thing, he probably would have felt the same exact way. Like, word, you don't go see my shit. Like, he's just about himself. Frederick is. Right. I don't think he's
still that, but he still ended up simping for her because he's still passing messages along and fucking up Baptiste on purpose. He did a lot because of his. He just wanted to simp that hard. And
he's
plus,
a bad friend.
He's a bad friend, but he ends the movie in blackface. So there's that. And then
I saw a lot of criticism on the movie for that, and I'm like, I get that criticism, but they're like,
they did that shit in the 40s.
This is what this movie was set before the 40s. This movie set like what, the 1800s?
It's set in 18. It takes place in the 1830s. Sorry, that's what they did then.
That's
like,
what they did.
to like up to.
I just know it exists.
Yeah.
I know it's there.
But no, I seriously saw 2 reviews where they mentioned that like this movie's not good because of this, and I'm like,
no, I'm not against that.
Yeah,
I get it. It's like chopping thunder. I understand. I completely get it. There are. I love this movie. Having said all that, it's well filmed. It's beautifully shot. I mean, everything was gorgeous for what it is, and Criterion makes it so crisp. So like you get to see every little thing, and so that makes it work well. It hurts to see these guys put themselves out there, especially Baptiste. Baptiste hurts my heart because he knows better and chooses her anyway. You know what I'm saying? Don't marry the other girl who professes her loves every 5 minutes, have a kid with her, and then turn around and be like, ooh, got us, and just jump on it. I'm like, bruh, no, that's not how that works. You're supposed to be stronger than that. You even said you were stronger than that, and he wasn't. So each character is a dirtbag in my opinion, and that's what makes me feel good about the movie.
Oh yeah,
y'all fighting over that movie. She has some nice shoulders though. That shoulder, she can get that neck, but god dang it, bruh.
Speaking of some nice shoulders, what about you, Brooks? What did you think about this film? First time watch for everybody, by the way, except for Joe. He's probably saw this
like 8 times
in the cinema, in France, with a mime.
Combine the subtitles. Yes. Yes.
What did you think, Brooks?
Well, I wasn't quite sure like what to expect from this movie, because it is an older movie, and and I'd heard it was very long as well. So I was like, I don't know, but like I did end up really liking this movie. Like, I know it's going to sound crazy, but this movie makes me think of if William Shakespeare wrote Seinfeld, because it's like. It's like there's not really much of a plot, really. There's no like tension. There's not a whole lot of tension or anything like that. It's kind of just characters, just like going about life and like, kind of like it's kind of just, characters, riffing off each other, going through very mundane things for the most part. And like I was kind of expecting like after the halfway mark for like something dramatic to happen, like, for like maybe like something like the Nazis to come in or something like that. Sure. But it doesn't. It's just like life goes on at a regular pace. It's just a very kind of more personal story about these people who are in this kind of love triangle. And I understand why these guys are into Garance. It's because she's like she's independent. She's her own person. She's got her own, like she's sharp. She's witty. She doesn't give him too much, like, but he's also like, she's just an amusing person, I think, which is why, but like, I think she did kind of have a thing, like she needed to settle, but she never could, like, and, she does end up settling with the rich guy, but like, she never really does, and that's kind of like that's kind of the big point of tension in the movie is like, her husband, being like, I can't get the love from you that I want. But like, and it didn't, like, it seemed like it would be, like, when I first started watching, I'm like, man, it's probably going to, like, drag a little bit, but it never does. It feels like, it's well paced, like you said. Like, so you don't feel bored or, like, I don't, oftentimes, like, even if there's a good movie and it's, like, super long, I'll start to get drowsy towards the end, but, like, I didn't in this one. Like, it kept me engaged, so it's quite the feat, especially for a movie, like, this old and in French. So, bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I've seen a lot of comparisons that this movie's kind of like the Gone with the Wind of France. And I actually feel more comparison to Casablanca, right? But like, instead of one Humphrey Bogart, we have 4, and they're all very different characters, right? And that's an American remake I would have liked to have seen. With Humphrey Bogart trying to play the mime. But there's some really great characters in this movie. Joe, kick us off. What's a performance you want to highlight?
It's like, since I picked it, I could be the asshole and pick Batista, right? Like,
sure.
Yes, sir. That's why you're first.
And do that.
Okay, you're first.
Sure. Yeah. It's tough though, because honestly, all the performances are excellent. And there's a good grouping here where, everyone's going to be able to pick like a standout, character.
No, you suck, Joe. You picked the best character. Fuck you.
But
you picked the biggest simp of them all.
Yeah, the biggest simp of them all.
I did.
The reason we say naval
Contagious.
I was. We were talking about this a little bit, before we went live, but the way the story sort of moves with him, it starts with him pointing out that the murderer, sort of the character, was it Lassonere?
Yeah.
Where
Philippe or something. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lassonere.
I don't know their names.
So he's a pickpocket, and he starts doing smaller crime. It goes from there, but I'll leave that who picks him. But he starts by miming that out, and when he's outside in that, it's like the most costumed up he is. And over the course of the movie, the costume gets stripped away, and he is in a less flamboyant mime costume for most of it, and then he's not in the mime suit at all. And over the course of the movie, we start like in the beginning when he's in the mime. He's the only one really dressed like that, and it's a big sea of characters all dressed for day-to-day life. At the end of the movie, he is the only one dressed like a normal guy, surrounded by mimes and clowns and people who are celebrating, and can't get through the celebration. He has changed. He has changed, and it's not about regression. It's he has changed as a person, and what he was able to do changed Paris, where they are, in this film. I think they're in Nice for a lot of it too, but like wherever they are in the film in France, changed those people to be more like him. Like he was able to give that joy out as a mime to the people, and it became infectious, and it conflicted directly with who he really was as a person, who over the course of the film, we see the joy drain out of him as, all the way to the end when it's just gone. And he is very stoic and serious towards the end of the movie. Like that's after he is the single most flamboyant and over the top person at the beginning of the movie. And through that all, it's how like Garen sort of changed him, because she's very much the same in a lot of ways. And what her impact on him was he changed. And you see that over the course of the film. Also leading up to, in Lussier sort of rats him out later on, and he does it in a very flamboyant way. And he starts that movie differently. But anyway, again, I'll let for who's picking him. But I will stop there, because I will just keep talking about this movie and everyone in it. So.
What you're saying about Baptiste being flamboyantly a mime in the beginning of the film, and getting more and more of that stripped away throughout the film, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't notice at the end. Yeah, they're at the carnival, and everybody's dressed up in festive gear except for him, and he's losing the love of his life yet again. Holy shit, that's rather profound, brother.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. When I first started watching this movie, I was like, if this motherfucker's a mime the entire movie, I'm out. I'm out. Like, I'm fucking done. What about you, Fable? What's a performance to highlight?
For me, it's hands down Frederic, man. Frederic is...
Yeah.
I mean, he's the most... It's cool that they picked a great actor to play a great actor, right? Like, because that was his...
Awesome.
That was his thing in the movie, is to become the greatest actor. And I think he achieved his goal by the end of the movie.
He's got charisma, too, in this movie.
Yeah.
He's got the ridge.
He is the walking definition of debonair. I mean, the man is carefree. He's also, stylish, confident, charming. He goes after what he wants without a care in the world of what happens. But he also has a heart on the low. You know what I mean? Like he gave Pierre money. Right? Like when Pierre came and asked for it, he gave him the money. And when they asked him later, he's like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "Yeah, I just asked him some money. He gave me a whole bunch of money." He's like, "Really? Yeah. That's interesting, But no, he chews up every scene he's in. I think he has some of the best lines in the film. And that part where he's arguing with the producers of the play was hilarious. Those two guys that are always repeating the other guy, and you know what I mean? They did this bit.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he shot. Did he shoot the other guy? All I know is he got shot.
Yeah, they never showed that, but yeah, it's implied that he got shot in the arm. But yeah, that bit where he's arguing with them, and then he like ruins their play, but kind of makes it better in a lot of ways. That was like a fantastic scene. I don't know the guy's real name, but the guy who played Frederic is absolutely, to me, hands down, the best actor in this film. And man, if that was in English, he would have definitely gotten an Academy Award. He chewed up the entire movie. Any scene he's in, he chews it up.
That was Pierre Brasseur.
Nice.
I love that he won't take a part unless he understands the character. It's like he doesn't play Othello until he understands what it is to be jealous. And once he
Yep.
understands what jealousy
Yeah.
is, then he's like, "Oh, thank you. Now I can play Othello."
I can be
Yeah.
Othello.
And that's the other thing, right? Like he's a womanizer in a lot of ways, right? Like he's a drunk. He doesn't he's irresponsible, right? He
He
spends all his
performs in
money
blackface.
and stuff like that. But
I'm not worried about
but
that. It's Othello.
It was
all
different
that, like I
times.
said, he has a heart, and he's also very passionate about the art. Very passionate. Like he couldn't stand being a mime. He wanted to play a Shakespearean character, and it seemed like nobody in this world even knew who the fuck Shakespeare was. They were like, "Who the hell is Shakespeare?" Like he's like,
The
That
"If you don't know-
Shakespeare guy.
Oh,
yeah,
all right, I
he's like,
guess.
if you don't know who Shakespeare is, then you guys don't even know what you're talking about. Like he was very passionate about his art, despite him seeming like somebody who's very carefree and irresponsible and stuff like that. So no, to me he's not only the best character but the best actor in the film.
Maybe I live in an echo chamber, but I saw this years ago, an article saying that they were excavating some of Shakespeare's shit. They found some pipes with marijuana residue in it. Just going to say, if they excavated this dude's house, I don't know what they'd find. Probably something similar. I don't know what they would find the body of work, though. What about you, Jelani? What about a performance you want to highlight in this film?
Well, I was gonna take Frederic, but Fable got to him, so I understand. He was amazing in this film.
He really was.
So yeah, so I will pick my second choice because I have a second choice, and it will be Garance.
Nice.
Simply because the way she manipulates everyone. And you know what? I bet you she, even at the end of this movie when she's getting away, I think she gets the fortune, that guy's fortune. Because she's been with him long enough to take all his money. Like she gets there, oh my God, he's dead. Oh, wait, all his shit's mine. Man, bruh. Oh, she won in the end. I think she won out of all of the characters. To be such a mid girl, and I'll keep saying it.
It's like some film noir shit, though, right? Like where the
Yeah.
femme fatale kind of gets away at the end.
She is one of those people that is the person that there's the object of everyone's desire. And I forgot who said it, but they imprint their belief system onto her. Even though she's very bland, she's a blank slate. She did have parts where she did sing. And that's how Fredericks heard her voice and knew it was her in the other room. So there were points where she could have been a lot more, and she was in the plays with him for that period of time as well. But over that time, she's just like, she didn't want to sit down. She didn't want to do anything, right by anyone. She just wanted to go where she wanted to go, and people just followed her. And that's just what apparently this is what happens to her all the damn time. So I swear it's that neck, but it's something about that level of manipulation. It reminds me of a character, and I haven't read this book in years, but East of Eden. If y'all ever read East of Eden, I cannot remember the character from John Steinbeck. It's a character that's in that book. It's a woman that she reminded me of her. I cannot. God dang it! I'm so dumb because I got to. Not that I'm going to reread East of Eden. That shit was thick. But it's one of those. She reminded me of that character because of her manipulation tactics. I don't think she was doing it maliciously at first, but I think towards the end it was very malicious. Like when she pulled that card out to get out of jail free card, basically she used. I was like, oh yeah, she about to flip it out. Like it's something about that level of manipulation that I can appreciate. She's one of those characters that is cunning and conniving and knows it and uses it to her advantage whenever she can. And I think it was portrayed very well. She was a great actress. She did very well in conveying the fact that she can make any man a simp. Anybody was a simp. And sipping ain't easy, so it is what it is.
Speaking of simps, Brooks, what about you? What's the performance you want to highlight?
Well, I really liked the scribe, I guess. I can't remember his name, but the guy with the mustache and it was like, yeah, like the murderer.
Yeah, you're talking about Lancier or whatever.
Yeah, Lancier. Yeah, he's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Fuck
I
y'all,
look
y'all
like,
took all of my fucking picks, man. Holy, I got to rethink this. Go ahead.
my bad,
Yeah,
my bad. But yeah, like I love him because he seems like he has no love of life, like whatsoever. Like he's like, to him, like existence is like meaningless, but he just keeps going anyway. Like everything he does is just, it's like he's just going through the motions. But like he almost has like it's like the slightest spark of humanity in him is like the fact that he actually does end up falling for Garance, even though in the beginning he's like, I'd never fall for a woman. That's pussy shit. I'm not gonna do that. Like then a few scenes later, he's like, I love you. Oh, why don't you love me? But yeah, like he's kind of like the closest thing to like a villain in this movie. Well, I guess the rich guy would probably kind of fill that role.
The rich guy's the main villain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of like a cross.
I think
villain.
the main villain is World War II.
Yeah. Ain't it always though? Ain't it always?
No, that's a great pick, and y'all know he has to iron on those fucking curly ass bangs.
Yeah, dude,
right?
has got
Dude,
like a procedure. He's good.
It was old.
That's way too intentional.
Yep.
All right.
He's a dapper damn man. He don't want God damn it.
I think they do call him a. Do they? No, they don't call him a dandy. They call the Count a dandy, right? Yeah. I don't know, man. I saw somewhere where somebody was saying that maybe that dude was a little bit queer, right? And maybe for Baptiste. And maybe that's why it influences some of the decisions at the end. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe. Apparently the filmmaker was a, I don't know if he was openly gay, making a film in Nazi-occupied France. Probably not. But like, I do believe that he was a gay man, right? So that's interesting. I'll go with Natalie. Like, that character is interesting. That's an interesting character because throughout this film, I do feel like you can get on Baptiste's side throughout the entirety of this film. But he loves you. You shouldn't have slept with this fucking very charming, fucking good-looking actor guy, right? You shouldn't have ruined Baptiste like that. He's an artiste. You know what I'm saying? Like you're wrecking him, right? But it does inform the art, and that's something we'll get into later on, I think. But then they really use this character, Natalie, who like is basically a simp for Baptiste in this movie, right? And he eventually, I guess it's because she represents like, it sucks, right? Because I think the performance is really strong, and I think the character is a very strong character, but at the same time, there's a weakness there, and the weakness is Baptiste. Because when she walks in on them, and she's like, somebody say something, like the way she handles that, like, I don't know, she like gave Baptiste way too much credit, I think, in the film. But the performance is delivered so fucking well, I think, in this movie. So I'll go with her. Style and structure is beautifully shot. Y'all have talked about that. The structure, the pacing of the script, the dialogue feels very witty and very sharp, even though there is an English translation there. At least the translation, I think, got it across. Because what I was seeing was that the dialogue in French is actually still that snappy, if not even more so. If anything was lost in translation, it's into English. You know what I'm saying? So if anything's lost, it's on our end. I think the dialogue is so snappy and sharp. I think the pace of both parts is so perfect. I love that the first one has a lot going on. I think Terry Gilliam said this. And he said, like, the first part has a whole lot going on in a very quick, cutting pace. And the second one is more stagnant, a little bit more static, a little bit more deliberate. But it still feels faster to me, the second act, for some reason. Like, it never slows up. So style and structure, I think it excels extraordinarily well. What about you, Joe?
You know, I think so too. I think the fact that they knew to break it up and how it works in the editing process there was perfect. It feels big. Like, it doesn't feel like a small story. It feels like an epic. I think it's like I think that's where you get some people comparing it to like Gone with the Wind, because not in plot structure, but in like the sweeping music and the wide shots with just so many people and so many things going on, and it just felt so alive. I think that aspect of Gone with the Wind, it parallels well too. And yeah, and like Brooks was saying earlier, it's such a character driven film. Like there's no larger plot than that. Like it's not about, which I think if this was an American film, they would have been like, well, there has to be a plot. Like there has to be like something that they're all trying to get that's maybe more than just, Garance, that it's, like maybe, she has like an inheritance that they're trying to get, or like something, like they would have had to add something, but that here it's such a focus on the different characters. It's poetic. It feels theatrical, like you're going to a play. It's not trying to be more grounded than it has to be. The characters and the scenery and sort of the world they're building and how quippy it is all just grounded enough, but leaves a lot of room for it to be, fantastical. And I think it really benefits from that. I wish there were more movies like that. Like I feel like that kind of filmmaking died off like by, maybe like end of the 50s going into the 60s. Like you don't really see movies like that anymore that are like they're either like not grounded at all or they're too grounded and they're not willing to kind of occupy this space. And I think the film, style wise pulls that off better than I think most did even at the time that were trying to do that.
I don't know. Have you seen Captain America: New World Order? Because the cherry blossoms, bro. I'm just joking. What about you? I don't want anybody to like make a comment. Like I was just joking. Fable, what about you, man? What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
Yeah, I mean, I said it at the beginning. I think that this movie is gorgeous. I think it's very impressively shot. Like there's a lot of panning things going on. And I'm assuming this is before any of that kind of technology was involved. So I'm assuming they figured out a way to rig these cameras to move them in certain ways. Because like even when they're on the balcony, right? Like you see where they're kissing and stuff, and the camera pans across the balcony to show Pierre peeping in on them. Like that's really impressive stuff. Like I look at that kind of technical thing.
So they were making these kind of technical improvements in film at this time, but like nothing like felt as sweeping as this.
Yeah,
definitely in France, right? And like I love the bit too, where what's her name is talking to the actor dude, and they're in separate rooms, and then he comes around and comes into the door. Like that was expertly handled, right?
Yeah,
it does feel like a stage play, but the camera's moving so well, man. Yeah.
From the opening shot when they're showing the street, like the exterior shots are amazing. Like when they're showing the festival and the carnival and everything, like great, just great camera movement. Great costuming, right? Like we don't talk about that a lot when we review these movies.
By the way, that was the most of a titty most American audience had to have seen in 1945, right? Did you like? I was like, whoa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Joe said it earlier. I thought Baptiste's look was very, very stark, especially in the beginning. He looks sort of like a geisha in a lot of ways. And his costuming, his wardrobe, everybody's wardrobe costume design was off the charts for this to be a period piece, right? In a period time. It's like, I don't know, it's really well done. Structure I thought was great. Of course, this was before the advent, I believe, of serialized television, of episodic things. this thing, I mean, it's so big that it had to be. They made part 1 and part 2 into one movie.
Yeah.
I heard that part of the reason for that was that the Nazis didn't like movies that were long, so they
Yeah.
made it seem like it was 2 movies, and they billed it as a double feature.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But I mean, this could have easily, like in today's time, this could have easily been like a 8-part miniseries or something like that, right?
Oh yeah.
There's things in there that are even like missing that would have been like I wanted to see, like when Frederick first becomes a mime and he puts on the lion costume. I wanted to see what he would do, right, as a mime, because Baptiste did such a good job at the beginning of the film when he was describing the guy who stole the watch. When Frederick came in and put on the lion costume, I was like, oh shit, okay, we're gonna see what this guy got. And then they don't show it at all. And that's something that would be a whole episode, right? And like a miniseries. Same thing with him dueling with the screenplay guys, the authors of the play. Like I would have loved to see him duel drunk with those guys and shoot him in the arm.
That would have been a subplot of a whole. That would have been the B plot of a whole
That would
episode.
have been a whole episode, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you just noticed, but I could see Joe Corallo thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to pitch the Children of Paradise 3-season, fucking 12 episodes a season."
Hey, I want some credits on that. But yeah, no. Again, I'm the kind of guy that I like my things, brief and concise. And even though this isn't brief, it definitely is concise. It uses its 3 hours well, and so no problems with the structure or the pacing or any of that. Both A+.
Hell yeah! What about you, Delaney? Speaking of A+, don't tell him.
I love doing the bit. It's a bit. I'm sorry, I'm hacking and fleaming, and I don't want to put that on stream right now. I was sick for my birthday. I was very mad. But for this, it was very well paced. I agree with everything Fable said. It's one of those movies where it didn't take you out of it. I liked how both parts were their own being, but it was still the same movie. It was still telling that same story. I was thrown off when it said in the second half that it started several years later. I was like, oh, wow, okay, we're doing that.
Dude, there was a moment there too where I thought they were telling me what happened in between, but then I was like, no, they're just telling me what happened in the first part of this movie.
That's another episode right there, bro. What happened in between?
Yeah, I don't know. So, like, it makes total sense that they do something like that, and it's good in a lot of ways. I love the ending scene. Something about the ending scene of this movie. Yeah, we were talking about it before about the mime that's not dressed as a mime, covered in mimes, being stopped from the love of his life. Like, what was he gonna do? Just jump off and just find her, and they were gonna live happily ever after with that guy's money? I mean, that'd have been cool.
It's almost playing with the same theme that they like. Tom King was kind of playing with the Catwoman Wonder Woman, Catwoman Batman. I think that was a fantasy, a Catwoman Batman thing where he was like, Bruce won't be able to be Batman if he's happy. It was kind of like the point. Like, will Baptiste make this art if he's happy with this woman, right? And is that like a representation symbolically of that? Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. There's a lot of fucking. I'm thinking about things actively while we're having this discussion.
Yeah,
so this is a pretty good film, man.
Like, does he ruin his craft for love because of love at first sight? It's just, and I've never seen this big of that hard of a love at first sight where it's just like, I love you. That's all I got. It was this rose. The rose just changed his entire life. And so it's crazy to me that this story is told every day. It's just told differently in different ways, and how people react to falling in love with a beautiful woman. How do I feel about falling in love with a beautiful woman? What would I do in these cases? Like we were talking about, we're pretty much repeating everything. The criminal sees her. I don't love you. Wait a minute. I love you. the auteur falls in love with her, or that he falls in lust with her. Eventually respects that G, but still jealous enough to complete his craft. And then there's Baptiste. God, he needs a crown for being King Sim. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But I love how well crafted each character is to get to this point and to fight over girls. And it impresses me. It impresses me how well put together this film is. And it's not terrible. Like if you take a day out, you can sit down and watch this. It's fine.
You know, I'm really surprised that in the early 2000s, Guy Ritchie didn't remake this film, because I could imagine the trailer right now with some like hip, like UK hip hop music, you know, some boom bap type shit, right? It'd be like the Count, the criminal, the actor, the sex worker, the mime, and it's like, and it just really like builds up into something.
The mime.
You're giving me like Romeo Must Die vibes. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
If at first you don't succeed, what about you though, Brooks? What do you think, man? What do you think about the style and structure?
Well, like, you know, I like the way this movie is structured. It's not structured like, you know, a movie in a way. You know, it almost feels like a play almost. Like, you know, it seems very Shakespearean to me. You know, the way the characters are constantly talking about their emotions. They're always like saying how they feel. Like some of my favorite parts are when, like, you know, or when Baptiste is talking about, you know, how much he loves being a mime, how it moves him to, like, you know, move other people. And, you know, the actor, he also, like, you know, goes on about how acting, like, you know, like it's like they talk about their passions, like why they love doing the things they do. Like, you know, it's like everybody just basically just tells you. But, like, you know, it doesn't feel like expository. It feels like, you know, part of the act. It's like part of the story. And,
it's melodrama, right?
Yeah,
but it works. It works so well.
And this movie, it kind of at times it kind of walks up to the edge of being meta in some ways, because, you know, it's a movie about, like, you know, performance art, basically, about, you know, different kinds of, like, you know, acting and you know, pantomime and all these kind of things. You know, it has a little bit about the directors and like all this kind of stuff. So like it almost feels like a little meta at times, but it never fully goes that way. Like, you know, it stays more grounded. So yeah, like it's like, and like I said, like for a movie of its length, then it has like such, like, it's basically just, you know, characters kind of just flowing through the movie. Like it keeps your interest, like, you know, and I think a lot of that has to do with the dialogue, like, and because the characters are so interesting, and, like, you know, and because of how, like, you know, open they are and how they, like, you know, tell you what they're about, like, you know, you understand them better and you can, like, you know, relate to them more. So yeah, like good. It's good.
Hell yeah, it's good. It's serviceable. The music. There are two people credited, but I do think most of the music is done by Joseph Cosma, who was one of the Jewish participants in the production that had to hide their involvement during the filming of the film. And the music is great. I was trying to find it like isolated out there on YouTube to listen along with it, and I couldn't. So I just kept kind of going back to the movie and scenes from the movie. And the music has the same kind of vibe that I love in like the grandest American Hollywood movies from the 30s and the 40s, right? It's just kind of got this tone to it where it feels very much of the period, right, that it's filmed in, but also very much of the period that it's set in, right? But it just has this old school kind of approach to it, and I really liked it. I found that it had a whimsical yet somber quality throughout. It really hit the tones it needed to. What did you think, Joe, about the music? And then continue on the conversation for us, please.
You know, the music, I think, is just, again, incredible. It's hard to add too much to it. One of the things is the orchestra they did use that was, you know, conducted by was it Charles Munich, or he was giving income from this movie to the French Resistance, as well. Like there's just so much involved with that, because what was it, the composer that Rob was just talking about, he was already under house arrest. He had to it was sneaking these messages back and forth through to get the pantomime and all of that for this movie over. It's really crazy when you think about the lengths that people had to go through just to compose the music. I mean, think about how little people try with movies when they're not even up against that level of adversity, and they're like, it's not worth it. It's just insane. But yeah, why don't we just go to Fable?
Yeah, no, music is great. It really stands out during the theatrical moments of the movie. I thought it also stood out towards the end, where he's getting lost in the sea of mimes, like you said. It's very powerful and moving. It gives me, you know what it gives me? It gives me Godfather vibes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember the score of The Godfather. It's very sweeping. It's very old world.
Mm-hmm.
It has its simple melodies. Yeah, doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
That. It has that real old world. I know it's Italy and this Paris, but it's European.
Europe's all the same, bro.
But
That's
the vibes it was giving me. That Godfather score, which is one of the greatest scores of all time. This is no, it's great. I don't really have much to add to it. I enjoyed it.
I come back to Fable comparing this to The Godfather. That's pretty fucking dope. What about you, Delaney? What'd you think about the music?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's Godfather level. That's iconic, but I understand. I get it. I don't think you're talking about the grandiose nature of it.
But yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen The Godfather 10 million times. I just saw this once.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty sure if I saw
it's a pretty long movie too. Just
gotta deal with it. But yeah, the music in this is very to the point. It is theatrical. It makes you feel when it needs to make you feel. And going back to style and structure real quick, yeah, you're right. It is a stage play, and the music plays a huge part in that. And
looking at Introspect's comment, dude, I really expect Introspect that you watched the film. That was awesome, man. That's awesome as shit, dude.
Appreciate you, dude, for watching it. True fans over here.
Oh yeah,
Joe, you owe him a taco too.
Joe, you owe him a taco.
Sure.
Yes,
sure.
But it's true, man. It's the music is great. It works well with this because it is a stage performance for most of the movie, and the music that goes with it is just exceptional. So I really enjoyed it. It plays well, and it made me not hate a movie on film that's a theater play. It had all of the tropes of it. It went back to my old Lee High School days when I was in choir, and we did
Lee High. That's right.
I'm wearing blue. Who knew? So it is what it is. It's excellent. I think it's beautiful. It goes really well with this stage play aesthetic of what they're trying to accomplish with this film. It's beautiful.
Hell yeah. And major props out to Lehigh and all the Lehigh alumni. Yeah. Come on, y'all. Hey, what about you, Brooks? Brewer High School, but we're not going to hold that against you. So what do you think about the music in the film?
I liked it. It is very much of its time, but it's not a bad thing. And it does give off the kind of performance, stage performance vibes. Like one of my favorite parts of the movie is when because when they're doing the plays, the conductor will be there doing the orchestra, and when old dude goes off script, the conductor looks up and he's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" Yeah. So yeah, it kind of made me think a lot of the old Universal movies, that kind of
Okay.
soundtrack. You know, lots of violin, you know, pretty much what you'd expect. But yeah, not too bad.
Even just the way it's recorded
Mhm.
makes you feel like it's from that era, right? Like the way it's recorded, it's just like some things are a bit too loud. They can't really do much about it because they only got so many microphones and so much recording technology and shit. Now it's time to talk about the theme of the movie. This movie is layered with themes like many of the movies we talk about here, like Double Dragon, like Flintstones, like Surf Ninjas, and Children of Paradise fits right along in with those movies as far as enriching themes. What about you, Joe? What's this movie speaking to you?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of themes here. I'll just stick to one of the ones that I brought up earlier of change and how you know, we have the mime change over the course of the movie, how he goes from you know, being the most decorated, flamboyant, and just becoming more grounded as his life has changed, how he went down a path that he really didn't want to, and just seeing how a lot of it can be summed up, you know, more concisely with you know, either you change the world or the world changes you, because all of these characters are either changing for, you know, Garance, but she isn't changing. She does not change who she is. So they're all changing. You can either change for the world, which is Garance, really. You know, you could almost have her, she could stand in for so many different things. And they're all willing to change, and they think, and this often is what happens when people change who they are or try to change who they are. It's because they think if they do that, they can get people to change how they want them to change, because that's how it all kept going. Every one of the characters was more or less like, you know, you have to be okay with me, so I'm going to change, and then I expect you to also change.
Hell yeah.
And that's just not how the world works. And it's a lesson that they all learn in various ways. Some are worse off than others at the end of it, but yeah.
Changes. Absolutely. I love that. I like that a lot. What about you, Fable? What's this movie speaking to you?
Well, I had to bring this up because I don't have this off the top of my mind like Robbie sometimes has great recall. But to quote the great Huey Lewis, it don't need money. It don't take fame. Don't need no credit card to ride on this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. It's the power of love.
I thought you were going to say it was hip to be square.
Be square. It's the same song. God dang, you Lewis has been saying the same song the whole time,
and we're loving it.
We're loving it. Yeah,
but yeah, this movie is about the power of love and what it can do to people, how it could change people, like Joe was saying, but not in the way that I guess this movie is described sometimes. I mean, people say it's a love triangle, and I've heard that, like all these guys are in love with her, but I don't see it that way. I see there's definitely two guys that's in love with her. You know, it's the rich guy. He's absolutely head over heels for her. Baptiste is absolutely head over heels for her. But Natalie is head over heels for Baptiste, right? And Frederic, he's head over heels for the art, for his love of acting, for his passion of the arts. And what's his name? Pierre's in love with infamy. Pierre wants to be infamous, right? And he's in love with the idea of being infamous. I think everybody in this movie has a love for something, and that passion for what they, you know, because Brooks alluded to it, they all talk about their passions. That love, that power of love, is what guides them in the directions that they go in these movies, in this movie rather. So yeah, I think it's a strong message about love and what love can do for good or for worse, right? For better or
Yeah.
for worse.
I like that. And you're saying that love's not isn't there's no love triangle here. It's a
It's a
love
hexagon of
decagon. It's a decagon, bro. It's like all
The
over the
love
place.
octagon.
It's multi-dimensional, man. That's what
Yeah.
it is, bro.
Everybody has a love for something. Other than the obvious. Is it like everybody said it's for Garance, but I didn't see it that way. I saw everybody had something that they were chasing and that they were truly in love with.
You're right. She represents what they're chasing.
Yeah.
That's I think right on the fucking money. What about you, Jelani? What are you thinking?
Yeah, simp's gonna simp, dog. I'm sorry, they gonna simp for something. You got to give up something to get something, and you have to have a muse to have your life changed out. So, I mean, I think Garance was a means to an end to a lot of different people, and I honestly thought that what Baptiste's wife, what was her name again?
Natalie.
I think Natalie, I thought she was going to kill her, to be honest.
No.
I thought she was sick.
She pulled out a dueling pistol.
Yeah. And be like, pew, you have besmirched my honor. And
You have impugned my honor, madame.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. I really did. Because I was like, and he'd been like blaming her for it. Like, oh, my love girls. And Baptiste would have been a sipping, blubbering fool. I use simp a lot because sometimes you give a little too much to something that you should not have, something that's not earned. You give it to something that you want to fight for, but it's not fighting for you. It's not reciprocal. You can't give without not getting back in return somehow. There's love, but then there's love without reciprocation. And I think that this is what this is for a lot of people. Natalie loves Baptiste, but Baptiste loves Garance. And the craft. Yeah, Frederick's the only one that looks like he got what he wanted. Yeah. Like he leaves this show as Othello. You don't see him again because he has learned that he's gone his peak. He's made what he wants to do, and he's finally the actor that he wanted to be.
Well, he knows who he is too. Like he's the most honest.
Who he is.
We also don't know how it turns out for a lot of some of these people,
but it's not.
It kind of Coen Brothers us and just ends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For some,
because even Garance, although she does love Baptiste, she also loves her liberty just as much. She wanted to go to India and would do anything to go to India or to travel the world if it meant leaving Baptiste. So, she has a love for him, but she also has a love for her freedom.
That was her luck. Her she wasn't expecting to see the world with that guy. But
when the opportunity presented itself, she jumped on it. Yeah.
Well, she jumped on it when she needed the protection.
She needed protection. Yeah. It turned into that. It turned into that whole situation. So I get it. It's oh God, it's such a simple tale, and it's tales old as time because it's happened to so many people and good rom-coms that this has happened in. It's a tragedy. It's on top of a drama, on top of a comedy, all wrapped together in this thing we call love.
Yeah,
this love chasing thing that we do, and we love something, and something doesn't love us back. And
part of the thing that's actually mentioned in the film is tragedy versus comedy, how they relate, how they're the same, how they invert each other.
How they're the closest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very thing.
I feel like we need a PCP shirt now, though, that has Jelani's face on it, just going, just simping. Like that's what I think.
Simping ain't easy, baby.
What about you, Brooks? What you sitting on?
Well, I think this movie is a lot of this movie is about art and how art is made and what kind of people make art, and the kind of communities that flourish around art. Like a lot of the characters have some kind of artistic aspect to them. Like even the scribe, his art is writing. You know, he's able to write these letters for these guys to make, to make them seem like, these romantics, even though like he himself is like obviously not that.
He's
But, like,
also got a
that's part-
side business where he gives dudes perms, man.
Yeah.
He wrote
But yeah,
a
like,
letter.
there's
He wrote a letter like, "I will not smack you again" or something like for a woman beater. That was hilarious.
Where's that profession nowadays, man? We'd all be really good at that.
It's a lost art.
We ain't got
But
it.
yeah, like, there's so many different kinds of artists too. There's singers, the pantomimes, the actors. It's like all these different like art forms, and all of them have all these different communities. You have the directors, you have the extras, you have the clowns, like, and it's just like this idea of, and it's also this idea of like what motivates, art. Is it, like someone like Garance, like, the idea of the muse, somebody who inspires an artist to, perform, or is it just for, the sake of like, like he says, like, I just love the crowd. I just love to move the crowd, and it's like, it's not just like, how art affects the world, but like how the people who perform the art act too. Like, I love that the actor, his thing is basically like, he doesn't give a shit about much, he's a very like happy-go-lucky, carefree. He just kind of, does whatever he wants. He doesn't get as involved. But the mime, he feels more deeply, he's more like, when he falls in love, he really fucking, he falls, he goes all in on it. And, and like the writer, he's very cynical, and, he kind of closes himself off, and like, but despite, their reasoning for it, like, they do make their art, and, and the communities around that art, like there's like so many people in this movie, like there's so many extras. This movie is like, that's what it's what makes this movie so vibrant, is because, and that's the thing about, especially performance art, is like, it takes a lot of people to make this, especially like movies. When you watch a movie now, you sit there and watch the credits, like it's ridiculous how many people it took to make this one film. And like, it's always kind of been the case, but like I think more so now. But like, I like the idea that, that art is a very community-based thing. Like artists have to, in some cases, have to work together to make something more. And that's what this film is about. It's about, it's artists making art. Like, why do they make art? Like, how do they make art? And how does art affect us? It's the great question of our times. Perhaps we'll never know.
I dig what everybody was saying here. What it means to me is very similar to what Brooks was saying. I think it's about art and life, reality versus art, and what influences what, right? We were actually, believe it or not, on my EXP show with Dynamic Forces earlier tonight. We started a very profound conversation that we didn't really take into its full form, but it was science fiction influencing science, or does science influence science fiction, right? We're talking about Terminator in specific. If we didn't have Terminator or 2001: A Space Odyssey and these kind of films, if we didn't have the idea of artificial intelligence brought in through fiction, would that be something that would have been influenced to becoming a reality, right? Think about Star Trek, flat screen TVs, tablets, shit like that. A lot of that technology is inspired by nerds who watched fucking Star Trek and went to engineering school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so
What is that James Bond watches now?
But it's an interesting conversation, but this is different than that, because this deals not just with technology, but with human emotion, human experience.
Yeah.
When Baptiste discovers that, what's her name? Garage, something like that.
Garance, yeah.
When her and Federic are having an affair together, he realizes that on stage, performing to her as a statue on a pedestal, and he can't reach her. But Federic is the actor who can. Oh, that's interesting, right? And so I think that's what this movie is trying to say. Human emotion, human experience, and human art. And human art is about what we can't necessarily always achieve. But I also said, like I said, it's kind of like that Superman must fly alone or Peter Parker can't get with Mary Jane at the end of Spider-Man 1 because he has a responsibility because of his great power, or that Batman can't be Batman if he's happy, right? And it's kind of like Andre 3000 said this shit, man. He said, when I am partnered up, I write the worst fucking music. But when I'm single, that shit slaps. There is an element to art where suffering is a part of making beautiful art about the ideal of human experience, or a reflection of the pain of human experience. But what I love about this movie is the fine line between the two. That one scene in particular, the scene was already written, but it does mirror what was already happening. So it also shows, to me, the subconscious kind of impression of life from what's around you into you through your art, if that makes sense. So I think that it's a really interesting line that is playing with art and reality, human experience, how it all comes together. That seems really weird in my head. I feel like I didn't quite explain that perfectly, but you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. So let's move on to the rating of the film. Out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, Introspect, we're talking to you. I think you're the only one who watched the movie. What do you rate Children of Paradise? Joe, your pick. You kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be weird if I picked something this time around and I didn't give it a 5. I feel like just the fact that this movie exists, the history behind it, all that stuff, like, alone, it's hard to not give this a 5, that it's a watchable movie that came out from all of this. But it's not only a watchable movie, it's a pillar for all of French cinema. Like, that's insane that a movie that good came out from those conditions. It's hard to find any movie, any time period with that many extras that feels that lived in. Like, the movie felt like a theatrical performance, and it felt full of life, as if it was being, filmed on location on, like, the streets of Manhattan. It's just, wild to behold. It's saying something. It has a strong sort of message throughout it. There's multiple themes that are well executed, and they're well executed without, you never feel like you're being condescended to or talked down to. There are moments of there are elements of this movie where, they're maybe being blunt, but it's done in the same way in, like, theater. It's done in a way like Shakespeare. It's done not to make you feel like stupid waste of time, or that they expected you to figure out a twist, or you figure out the twist, in the first act and you get to the third or something like that. It's just, it's just done so expertly, and it has rewatchability. And yeah, I can't think of, sort of a better example of what cinema in that time period should aspire to be, other than this.
Oh yeah, 5 you digs from Joe. What about you, Fable?
I think this is a well-rounded movie. I think what Joe said, it being watchable, is definitely there. I think that's a feat, like Brooks said, for something that's like, what it's about and the time it's set in and all this other stuff. It being 3 hours long, stuff like that. So I think that's commendable. I can't knock it for any particular category. I can't really say anything was bad, right? Like, the acting solid, the directing solid, the music solid, everything solid. But I also believe that you have to be in the mood for something like this. Like,
Sure.
This was my excuse to watch this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just said, if it was just up to me, and I had a pile of movies on the desk. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And you had
Yeah.
some vampire shit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna
Let me
go for
watch Lost Boys for the
right. You know
49th
what I'm
time.
saying? Over this. So I can't be the only person that would ever feel that way. I gotta, as a person trying to like recommend it. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Mhm.
I think it's super solid. And I think anybody who gives it a chance will definitely be impressed by it. But I also feel like you have to have a love for film. You have to have a love for romance. You have to have a love for the classics, the black and white. You know what I mean? That era of movie. Because if you don't, you might just sit there and be like, okay, that was pretty good. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5. There are a lot of epics from this time frame as well, American movies too, that are grand and fantastic as well.
Yeah.
That might edge this one out if we're just going in that era, in that time
Sure.
frame. So yeah, 4.5.
I get you, man. But like one of my favorite movies of all time is Citizen Kane, right? This movie's after that one, right? And I also am a big fan of Casablanca. I remember being late teens, getting Casablanca. I think I rented it from the video store. All I know is that this is supposed to be one of the greatest American films of all time. I didn't know anything about the production or the history of the film, right? And I watched this movie and I'm like, man, this movie's fucking genius. I watched this movie and I'm like, man, this makes me feel like when I first watched Casablanca, but like done really, really well, like with the promise of like one of the best ever. Like I don't know, there could be more characters, like side characters interspersed, but like I don't know. I feel like it kind of deals with that like world in the kind of the same way. I don't know.
Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments. There's a lot of films from this time that are grandiose productions.
You know that one day we're gonna do the Ten Commandments. We're gonna do it Passover weekend. That's what we're gonna do. Just like
let it be written
back in the day.
That are just as good, just as influential, just as well acted. You know what I'm saying?
You shall see hail fall from a clear sky.
But
God is God.
Impressive for being foreign, for being in the you said the World War II breathing down their neck and just the level of, like I said, this thing looks like it costs millions of dollars. It really does.
I think I just decided to put 10 Commandments on the list for next year.
Nice. Do it.
What about you, Jelani, man? What do you rate this film?
I'm kind of right there with Fable. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Was that a Chewbacca? Did
It
anybody
was.
just hear that?
That's my message.
Are we gonna ignore that? Okay, I just want to make
Oh no, it's my phone. I'm getting a text message.
Hiding a Wookiee.
That's how many digs I give it. Yeah, it's good. It's very good. I'll have to watch it again one more time just to be sure. Are you serious?
No.
Who is messaging me? Jesus Christ! Hold on. Let me. Oh, it's Robbie called me. You called me?
That was like right before the start of the show.
Yeah. And who's messaging me now?
But just give us your rating. What are you doing?
I did 4.5.
Looking very unprofessional.
I told you. I'm trying to turn the damn phone down, you damn it. Shit. And I'm sick, and you're fucking with me. Fuck off.
Hey, your birthday's over, dude.
No, it's not. You, not till Money in the Bank, man. That's Jelani's birthday to me.
Fuck off, Brooks. Either way, 4.5. I said it was rewatchable. It's good. I need to see, like, if I need to watch it again in mime. Is there a mime version of this where I just get it all in mime and just understand the plot? Do I need to go to France and watch it in the cinema as Joe Corallo did? I don't know. We need to figure out what to do. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm glad you brought us this one. I think Gandahar is better though, because Gandahar had more movies.
That's true. That is true.
Gandahar
So-
is pretty fucking dope, man. I'm just gonna say.
I
Yeah,
love
Gandalf's pretty good.
Gandahar. I love
That's
it.
pretty
Fable, were you there for Gandahar?
You need to watch that.
Bro,
when
you
she
got to
gets-
watch it.
Was it 24 frames per second though? That's my question.
No,
No.
not at all.
No. Like it was like 4, maybe 4 frames per second. But
Yes.
It
was
looks
fine.
like those early Marvel fucking superhero cartoons that were just taking
That's
off
how
Jack
Sailor
Kirby's
Moon.
drawings.
yeah,
But
All right,
they're
it's so
4.5
good.
from Jelani. What about you, Brooks?
Yeah, like I ended up liking this movie a lot more. Like I think because because I'm an artist myself.
Jesus.
Like, this
True.
movie speaks to me
Mm,
more than like it might your
Mhm.
common non-artiste.
mm.
So yeah, like I'll give this movie a 5 because I think it is like low key pretty brilliant. Like
Yeah.
like it's
Ah.
in I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I say that a lot
Yeah.
about a lot of movies, but this one in particular, I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, just because of like the length, it's of the time
Yeah.
period and all that. But despite all that, like I ended up watching. I was like, wow, I really get this movie, and I feel like this movie gets me too. Because like I said, artiste.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this one deserves a 5, from a true artist.
Hell yeah,
Yes.
that was so wholesome. When Brooks said
Sounds like
It
he's
really
attacking
was.
somebody. Who are you attacking, bro?
it did. Like Brooks was being kind of heelish there, but at the same time, it felt very wholesome when he was like, "This movie gets me too." I was like, "Aw, I've never thought about that." Like, but yeah, sometimes movies get me.
Mhm.
Aw, that feels good. I'm right there with Joe and Brooks. I'm going to give this one a 5. This
Yeah.
one reminds me of a movie I recently watched a few months ago. I was at my buddy David's got a video store here in town. He just had a YouTube like spotlight on him. And Brooks, you just went and saw his shop. Was it not badass?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Like he's got like everything in there. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you rented this movie from him, didn't you?
Yeah, I turned in my punch card.
I told you that he would fucking have it, man. I didn't I knew it. I rented it on Amazon, but I'm glad that David got money out of it. So David was talking about it. He goes, my favorite thing is not to recommend a movie to somebody that is a movie that they have on their list that they've never gotten around to. But when I recommend a movie that you've never seen, never heard of, and you watch it and it turns out to be one of your favorite movies. He did that a few months ago with a movie called Cinema Paradiso. Right? And what is that? Is that either a Spanish or an Italian film? I don't know right now. I don't remember, but that movie is about a love of cinema through the eyes of an artist who was raised in a community that adored cinema. It was a very important part. And part of this movie made me think of that, especially with the idea of the title. So in the English translation, the subtitles we got, they call the rafters, the cheap sheets, or the cheap seats up there, right? They call it the gods, but that's a British term. In French terminology, it would be called paradise. So when they talk about the children of paradise, they're talking about the people who get to see art perform for a cheap ticket up at the top, crowded, right?
Yeah.
And that reminded me so much of Cinema Paradiso. And then I was like, oh my goodness, the paradise in the name, this and that. It made me feel the same way that movie did, which it became one of my favorite films. I think it's brilliant. Anybody who's never seen it should watch it. Same with this one. I give it 5 you digs. It's a perfect movie. And I don't know how often I would want to rewatch this movie, but I would want to rewatch this movie with people that have never seen it or heard of it.
For sure.
And you can break it up in 2 nights if you really want to. But honestly, after part 1, everybody's going to want to say, let's go. Let's do it. We haven't even finished the pizza. We still got like a half ounce of fucking Chiba. Let's fucking go, man. Let's do it. So yeah, 5 you digs from me and Joe and Brooks. 4.5 from Jelani and Fable. Introspect gives it a 4.25. That's the PCP average of 4.69, dudes. So pretty solid movie, pretty solid pick, Joe. It really worked out. So great job there. Next week, we move on to Fable's pick. And hopefully we'll have a special guest. I'm getting confirmation on that. Hopefully very soon. But next week, Fable's pick is Conan the Barbarian.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
What a
Because
great
my enemies will
follow-up.
hear the lamentations of their women.
Fuck yeah!
Here's the
best
funny
in
thing,
life?
Joe. That
What's
movie is
best in
probably going to
life?
get 5 days off the board.
Good job.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Dude, I haven't seen that movie since I was a fucking kid. So I'm really excited. Though I felt
Same,
the
I
same
am
way
too.
about Red Sonja, but when I rewatched that one, I was like, ooh, that one didn't hold up so well, man.
Yeah.
But,
Hold up. No.
yeah, very excited. Conan the Barbarian next week, Fable's pick.
Nice.
So hell yeah. Joe, what about you, man? What you got coming up? Thank you for being here. And what a great pick, man. And really,
Thank
I
you for
said this
having me.
before the stream started, but thank you for
Yeah.
picking this movie. I'm glad. I never would have watched this movie, man. Never.
Yeah, no
and now I want to
problem.
watch more French cinema, man. I really do.
No, you should. Have you ever seen any Jean-Pierre Melville films?
Of course I haven't. I've seen Amelie. I've
You
seen
should,
Diabolique. I've seen Diabolique. I think that's my French films right there.
You should. Les Samurai is on Max, so you should be able to watch that one pretty easily.
You should text these to me, man, because I will not remember them right now.
It's a French
high as
neo-noir film,
Oh, cool. All right.
and it's like their trench coats are their armor kind of thing, you know?
Ooh. Yes. Yeah, text me that, man, because I won't remember, man. I want to see that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll do that. But yeah, I'm going to be at ALA at the end of the month in Philly. It's the last weekend in June, promoting King Arthur and the Knights of Justice Volume 2, which is going to be out June 17th. You still have time to pick up Volume 1 and read that if you haven't read that one yet. It is a reboot of the 90s cartoon. And I feel like enough people that tune into this watch, 90s cartoons because we're all, bitter middle-aged men at this point.
I've been watching She-Ra lately, but yeah, I get
better when I was a kid.
So there's that. But I also out June 10th. So the week before that, next week, is the release of Young Men in Love, New Romance, which is their volume 2. I have a story in it with Chase Bluestone, and Chase and I, along with David Boer, and I'm forgetting the name of his artist at the moment. Both of our stories got a shout out in the New York Times, which I think is going to be in print tomorrow, but it was posted today in their. Yeah, thank you. It was their eight LGBT graphic novels to read for June, and Young Men in Love was one of the ones that was there, and they picked both of our stories as standouts, which was very nice of them.
Nice.
Thank you. So I've got that. Cool. Yeah, and then in next month should be the release of the trade of the Green Hornet Miss Fury that I edited with Alex Segura and Henry Barajas on writing, and Federico Ceresa on the art. And yes, he's gonna blow up, I swear. Check him out now. And I've also got a bunch of other stuff that I can't talk about yet, but also if you missed out on the Coagula story I wrote for DC Pride, a celebration of Rachel Pollack last year, the hardcover DC Pride to the Farthest Reaches that collects the previous year's Pride anthology also includes that story. So if you missed it when it first came out, it's in print there. And there's some other sort of one and done stories in there. Like I think the Connor Hawk tie-in issue with was it Beast War is in there, and there's some other stuff too. So check it out.
Hell yeah. Everybody go check out any comic book Joe Corella has any part of.
Thank you.
And thank you for this pick, man. Thank you for being a part of this crew, man. You are a valuable member of the Excitable PCP crew. So are you, Fable. What you got coming up, my man?
Well, first of all, I just love how we can watch something like Children of Paradise and then talk about watching She-Ra. I think that's awesome. There's something about that makes me just happy inside as a nerd.
I fucking watched them both in the same night, bro.
Well, yeah, Blame Fable is going to be back in a few weeks, but we'll talk about that next week when we do PCP movie night next week. Tomorrow, I'm actually gonna hang out with a friend of mine named Matt, Heroes for Hire Comic Club. He's got a channel. He invited me on for a show he does called Comic Conversations, where we're just gonna shoot the breeze. I'm pretty sure he's gonna ask me about my my journey in the community, my journey with collecting and stuff like that. And it's not often that I get asked to do one of these things outside of our group, our little band of brothers here. So I'm very appreciative that somebody invited me on one of their shows and wants to know more about me. So yeah, if you're not doing anything, you want to come hang out, Mac Heroes for Hire Club on YouTube. Be with him.
Check that out, everybody. What about you, Jelani? Thank you for being here, as always. Happy fucking birthday. Super excited for Money in the Bank. And I just love how much time me, you, and Brooks have been spending together with our friends watching wrestling lately.
Yeah,
I'm having so much fun, and I just love you guys so much. So happy fucking birthday. And what you got coming up, man?
Thanks, man. And we've done a lot this last few weeks. I've got a lot of stuff coming, a lot of stuff I work with Brooks on, because we do Go Figure reviews, of course. I don't know how much longer. The way Brooks been acting, I don't know. It's a little suspect in my. But
I'm not forming a faction behind your back, dude.
I'm watching you, bro. But we did a couple videos, one of which is the X4, or we'll do the Incredible Hulk. It's the Maximum.
Sorry, brother.
Yeah, we'll do. We did Maximum Hulk. It was interesting. Please check that video out. Things I like about it, things I don't like about it, and then of course we did the X-Force. We did the 2-pack with X-23, Warpath, and Archangel together. So check that out. It's 2 videos in one. So yeah, we did a lot of work with Marvel Legends this week. We're gonna do some other stuff coming forward. We did a car vlog that we're gonna start doing, Toy Car, where we're gonna drive to various toy stores in different areas and talk on the way there. I didn't film as much in this one, but we went to Total Nostalgia this last time. Did not show the toys off because I got problems, but we'll talk about that when we get there. And soon we might even do one at the Deep. We'll see if they let us. I don't know if they let us film.
We'll let you, but you better say fucking nice things, bro. I'll fucking have you in writing on that, man. You better, man. I'm just gonna say.
I'm gonna be like, that fucking Deep, that piece of shit.
I'm just kidding, man.
Be
as honest as you want, but like our friendship rides on that, man. Just so you know.
Jesus Christ,
Brooks. Love you too, man. Thank you for being here, bro. Final thoughts. What you got?
The world is small when you have passion like ours. Au revoir.
Nice.
Var, buddy.
All right, go check out Joe Corralo's work. Go check out Fable tomorrow on Comic Conversations. Check out the X-Force and the Maximum Legend Incredible Hulk. Is that what they're called, right?
It's Maximum Hulk. It's from Marvel Legends and Hasbro. Yeah. So it's Maximum. It's the most maximum ever.
Come to find maximum priced Hulk you'll ever find on just the average action figure.
$70. I'm glad I didn't buy it. But it's got three different Hulk heads. The heads are different artists. Yeah, that's Ed McGuinness's head. So it took me a while to figure that out. I thought they were just making goofy ass heads.
And then they can just recolor this shit red and re-release it a couple years from now when they really need to. So there's that.
It's got a rubber chest. That's why it's different from the others. But the bottom is the same. It's ridiculous.
Don't spoil the video, man.
Screw that. Watch the video.
Yeah. Next week, join us for Conan the Barbarian, Fable's Choice. Hopefully we'll have a special guest for that. We're dipping out. We love you. Station, pop, pop, boom. Watch movies, talk about movies, enjoy movies. Have people watch movies you love.